I put on too much bronzer. Okay, so the last time you were here, we were
Are we getting
talking
right into it?
everything.
Let's get into
Well,
it.
I just want to give a preview because this will be kind of like a part two. I guess anything about Switzerland, particularly when you're on with me, I'll just start making parts to it. Like the part
Cool.
one was that intro. This is part two. The next time we come around and talk about it, part three, because we could talk about it for days.
6 years is a long time.
We
You
loved
know,
it. We
a
loved
lot of things
it.
happen.
But the last time you were on, we were talking about, oh my gosh, a bunch of stuff. The reason why we went, what kind of gave us the idea to go, how we followed through, what it was like when we first got there, culture
The
shocks,
temporary stay,
the
the
traveling, the temporary stay, the 9 months,
not so temporary
but ended up
temporary.
being 6 years. What's really ironic about the last episode you were on was that it aired the day that you got the offer to work for the New York team and come back to the
Ah,
States. It was so bittersweet.
yeah,
I cried a lot that day.
a lot's changed since then.
So ironic though that it was that day. It was December 4th, 2024. I'll never forget it. But okay, how you been since last episode?
Well, there's been zero stress with an international move and a newborn and apartment that we bought as an Airbnb. There's been so much. I'm sure you've talked about this in other episodes.
Guy, I mean, through my content too, but like, guys, so much has changed since he's last been on.
It's crazy.
And, I think it's best for us to kind of put a little pretty pink bow on like being in Switzerland and then move into how we ended up back here, essentially. Motives of leaving Switzerland. There was very few because we really were happy there. There were very few, but they were big ones. It was our first time making like a decision as a family for like what was the better good of us as individuals, but also us as a collective together.
Yep.
I think the number one motivator for us to come back was for me to see my brand through and to like continue expressing this project. I felt like in Zurich, because it is such a small city, there's definitely like limited exposure to the type of brand I was trying to open and be a part of. There was no network there. I feel like content creator entrepreneurship is just limited. Not that it doesn't exist, but it's not like New York or the States, like anywhere in the States, any big cities, Los Angeles, Austin, Miami, just anywhere here has way more people like hustling but also finding their gifts and like their voice and creating a business out of their lifestyle, who they are, what their purpose is, what they love to do. And that is obviously what I was seeking with me jumping off the corporate ladder. I didn't want to say the career cliff,
It's
jumping off the corporate ladder,
a big
but
ladder.
huge ladder. But regardless, I feel like that was the biggest pull or the biggest part of our decision with saying, okay, let's go back. It's time. I think secondary was the kids.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, first of all, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't know that you had a talent that needed to be
Mm,
displayed. So
that's sweet.
having that, knowing what gifts you have and your intuition and just the trust that we've built with each other, that
Yeah.
definitely was the primary, reason, because I really wanted to see that grow too, and support that as much as possible.
I mean, it's funny because I feel like it was definitely a mutual decision to move to Switzerland, but to think about it, like we were moving for your job, and now it's kind of like my way of
Isn't
us
it
kind of
funny?
doubling down.
I feel
And
like also in the relationships, it goes back and forth. Like sometimes one partner's, career is the focus right now, and the other one's holding it
yeah,
down in this way, and then they kind of like teeter, kind of seesaws a bit
it
from one to
does.
the other. So I think it was kind of following that pattern a little bit.
No, and it was nice that we gave each other that space and that ability to say, okay, it's your time. Let's
Yeah.
do this.
And also, yeah, no disrespect to the Swiss influencer community. I think it's growing. I think there's a lot that Switzerland,
There is so much
there's a
potential in
huge community
Switzerland.
there, and it's definitely growing. But it's
Of
just, I
course.
mean, it's proportionate. I think compared to a place like the US, like all the cities you mentioned, it's like
Yeah.
everyone knows someone who knows, someone.
Yeah, for
And it's just
sure.
so easy to get connected so fast. And I know you've already experienced that in the few months you've been here. And
No, definitely. The networking is so different here. I feel like it's also cultural. Like I feel like America is like this is where you make it happen for yourself. And Zurich, obviously, there's like amazing careers, amazing schooling, amazing career paths to take, but it's definitely not as advanced, or I'll say as like
It's growing. It's growing.
progressive.
We've seen
Yeah,
it grow while we were
it's
there, and
definitely growing. Like it just feels like there's more opportunity
yeah,
here.
and that
In
did
my
kind of
opinion.
parlay into then who's gonna watch these kids. So
Well,
that was
definitely.
kind of reason number
So
two.
then yeah, so when we found out, yeah, I was clearly pregnant at that point, and we definitely wanted to have Alécio in Switzerland. Like, as a mom, I wanted to have my birth experience be as close to as the first one as possible, meaning like in the same environment. I didn't want to have the cultural shock being whatever 7 or 8 months pregnant at the time. I just think it would have been too much. Oh my god, I see a spider over there. Hold on. Did you see it crawling behind the toys?
No.
It, ooh, damn.
Oh, there's two.
You're just
If I'm not having it,
um,
fuck out of here, araña.
it goes into the kids because now we have two of them.
Mm-hmm.
They doubled. They doubled while we were there.
Doubled.
And when you found out about the position, which I feel like when we found out about the position, we kind of felt like it was going to be the one that brought us back to the States because we weren't 100% sure. But even with that thought, I knew I wanted to have Alessio in Switzerland. Like there was, without a doubt, I wanted to be in the same hospital, be in the same environment, that gave me some type of like comfort.
And the food was so good. The food at the hospital,
Oh, that's very true. The whole wait,
so
the
we need a whole
hospital.
episode about the food.
No, oh, that's so true. No, it was like gourmet, and they did this
Those
cute
omelets.
thing. Wait, first of all,
I still dream about those omelets. It's
wait,
crazy.
can I? No, the omelets were so fluffy. Oh, the
Oh,
Bircher muesli was so good. I had that every morning. I'm going to talk about the hospital for like one hot second. We're already veering off, guys. So you know what kind of episode it's going to be. The hospital we stayed at.
even the way you said that.
The hospital I gave birth in, but we stayed at because insurance there. I had a C-section, so we were in the hospital for what 5 nights, 4 nights, 5 days.
Maybe even six. All
And
inclusive.
let me tell you,
En suite
this
bathroom.
hospital, it served. I felt like we were having like a 5-star experience, like a legit
Because we
luxury
were.
hotel. Yeah, the between the food,
Views of the lake from the
even
room.
okay. So I'm not even talking about the labor, but in the post care and like that part of the journey, right? What all did they give? So they gave you the option for an Ayurvedic massage,
I
which
was low key jealous
was
of that. I was like, oh,
so
I just gave birth too. Can I get a free
no,
massage?
it was the most glorious massage, and like I still had to be laying on my back. She like gave it fully with me laying on my back. Like she was putting her
Crazy
arms
work.
under my
It's
under
witchcraft.
my back,
It was
like
witchcraft.
massaging my
Swiss
so good.
witchcraft.
The hospital also did this thing where you were able to do like a date night. Remember that?
That was
Like
so cute. Yeah.
me and you at the restaurant was
It's
like
low-key kind of sad for you because like you are
what?
just like you're still recovering. You like barely walk.
Most
And it's
vulnerable
like,
thing.
oh,
I'm
let's
like
dress up and go
hunched
out to
over going
dinner.
to this restaurant, but I'm like, I am gonna get my free meal.
I mean, it was in the hospital,
Yes. Okay. So
but still,
the
like,
hospital has a
it's
restaurant in it. I'm
still
telling you, this
messed up.
hospital was like a hotel. That's why I was like, we stayed at the hospital. Like we did. Like it was a
You gotta drop the
stay.
link.
The
Shout out to Here's
I
London.
know I will drop.
We're
The
not
link.
being. This is not sponsored.
No, they wouldn't pay me one penny, one rappen.
One
Okay.
hop.
But it really was luxurious. Our views out the window were of Lake Zurich and of the Alps. It was
Like sunset views,
so
like amazing, beautiful,
nice. I mean,
uninterrupted.
ugh, beautiful. I can't. But anyway, back on track here. I definitely wanted to have Alessio in Switzerland. I didn't want to leave so close after the birth. I wanted him to be definitely vaccinated. I
Yeah.
definitely wanted to be way more recovered myself because with the C-section it just feels like it takes forever to feel 100%. So we had found out about the job in December, but we didn't move until August. So your
Yep.
job gave you like 9 months essentially to move.
Yeah, it ended up kind of technically being like 6 months just because internally they had a lot of things had to move.
Yeah.
In fact, I wasn't even sure if we were gonna like actually get accepted by this because of my terms of the position, which also like shout out to the career seekers, like, people listening, talking, thinking about their careers. It's like, you really are in the driver's seat with these offers, even if it's an internal offer. and there's some lessons learned I would love to dissect in a different episode.
No, I
But
feel like honestly, maybe for 1 second, you should say something because I feel like that's a big part of the passion I have to help people kind of step into the power and like the awareness of their life.
mm,
Because even when we were talking to like Patty's son the other day, like he has so much power in his hands. You can go to companies, and if you want to live in another country, you can. You can figure out a way to like set yourself up with an agenda to service your company but have it be somewhere else. Like I feel like you are
yeah.
such a great person for building your own cases to convince your bosses that you need to be in another country. And they send, I mean, these big companies have huge budgets. And I feel like if you just want to shoot your shot, do it. Like, I mean, the worst they can say is no. Really, it's what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, for my stuff, it's definitely merit based. So you really got to do your job well. You can't just be like, oh,
Of course,
you know,
of
just like f around
course.
and be like, hey, send me to Singapore. But yeah,
No, of
stints in
course.
Singapore, stints in Zurich. I know this is not my last stint. You know, there's more stints to come
No, for
in
sure.
terms of like bouncing around, whether it's in the U.S. or not. But it's also just like, you know, advocate for yourself, like you're saying, and really get, you know, you're in the driver's seat of your career, and you know, you can will these things to happen. It's just a matter of putting those pieces together, and you know, fortunately we did that. Back to why we didn't think it was going to happen was because we had these terms where it's like, hey, for all the reasons you just said, I can't move there next month, which was the original ask. Like, you're coming back to America in January. It's like, wait a second. Like, we have
Yes.
one kid here, one kid on the way, postpartum recovery,
Yeah.
and we have to move our entire lives now with like two kids, a dog. Like, this cannot happen overnight.
I was low
And
key
I want to
hoping that
enjoy
it
also
wasn't going to
my,
work out. I
and
didn't want it to work out because I was like a January 1st start date and it was December 4th at the time. I'm like, there's no way. First of all, I can like mentally, physically, emotionally get myself together to like leave a country I just called home for 6 years,
yeah.
you know?
But also, we weren't like, as things were finalizing, we were kind of like, do we want this after all? Like, do we want to leave? Because we had been talking a
Oh,
few months already about how, you know,
yes.
we feel like it's probably getting time to leave. Back to point number two about like, who's going to watch these kids to help us, you know, get our careers back until both are kind of ready for like, you know, school or daycare. So all the internal stuff was happening, and it took like 2.5 months.
Yeah.
And what we ended up settling on was, okay, I would still work for that team and work US hours, which honestly really sucked,
Yeah. That was really
for a
tough.
few months. But they would give me 6 months to move back. So it was like, sweet. You know, I didn't think it was gonna be possible. Like you said, I shot my shot. I was
Yeah.
like, if it's meant to be, it'll work out. I wasn't, you know, I told them my demand, so to speak, and they made it happen. They got all these exceptions approved, and you know, helped us move ourselves our whole lives up and back to the US. So that ended up happening. They gave us that grace period. And it really actually worked out, which is great.
It did. And that's what we also wanted. We knew we wanted to move back to the US at some point. We had no idea when. But there was this general intuitive notion that was happening between us in our conversation that year before we found out that we would be moving, that we were like, we know our time is running out. We know the clock is up. Even though we have like free reign to completely stay there for the rest of our lives and be fine and happy,
Almost a
there
citizen.
was, yeah, you were almost a citizen,
Just a few
but
more
there was
years left.
still, but for some reason, I feel like intuitively, we both knew we had to come back for something. And as things unfolded with me shifting my career, it kind of just was coming to this place of like, okay, let's start shooting our shot at work. I say let's because we both are looking at these potential career locations because honestly, the US wasn't the only thing on the table. We were looking at Madrid as well. They have a great expat community. For people who are considering living abroad, Madrid has a great expat community based on Reddit. This is a lot, all of my like information coming
Yeah.
from the internet, but I was definitely attracted to it.
Which we thought might be a possibility, because when I first got contacted, I thought it was actually for the Madrid office,
Yeah.
but it was in fact to help start a team in the US. So
Exactly. So I feel like everything unfolded in this way where my work, this decision to move back, the way your work kind of unfolded to have the opportunity back here. Luckily, I mean, coming back to New York is like, you know, it's easy, but it's also rough because it's like the old life and we're leaving the new life. But it's easy because we have all of our friends and family here, which makes the, I don't know, the transition a little bit easier because you have support around. Like you have support from people, you're able to reconnect with relationships, you get to kind of fall in love with your state again in a different way, right? Because it feels so different now that we're back and so much has changed.
I do want to say though, I'm just
Mm.
sorry to cut you
No, no,
off,
go
but
ahead. I'm just gonna forget
back
completely.
back to your point about willing it, like even this whole setup was kind of a willing it, because when I was in banking, I was like, I really want to break into tech. And I'm like, I know these tech companies are not regulated and they're going to be regulated. And that's where my expertise is in like compliance and regulation and auditing. And I wanted to jump into tech. And then I thought Google, which is one of the biggest employers in Zurich, shout out to Google,
Yes.
um, when they were had a position open that I found for kind of like in the audit space, I thought perfect, I can break into tech. And then at the time, the Swiss, they were very conservative, I'll call it, with their paternity leave
Mm.
legally, and they only gave like a week or like 10 days max.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So if you had stayed at Credit Suisse, it would have been just a
I
10-day
would have just had that
paternity.
week, yeah. And I
That is so
probably would
wild.
have had to have done it like kind of right away. And then, because I
It's
kind of
worse
want
in
to
the
meet my
States.
child, right?
Yeah.
It's really actually a lot of things are in favor of the mothers out there. But so for the fathers, kind of like, wow, only a week. So as a US tech company, it was, great paternity leave, which we call baby bonding, and the potential to move back potentially, because Google
Exactly.
sends a lot of expats to Switzerland. So those are the reasons why I was kind of targeting Google, and it just, something came
As you
up
were there.
and
It's
it
like we
worked.
knew it would be a ticket. And also,
Even before I applied, like
yeah,
part of the reason why I
it was
applied,
intentional.
it's like that thing going back to like, hey, you are in the driver's seat. It may not work out every single time, but like
Yeah.
if you work hard for it, if you work for it, you know what you want and you hold yourself to your own standards,
Yeah, if you
you can get a
know,
lot of things on your wish list.
I agree. Like if you know your shit and you're good at what you do and you have good business ethic, shoot your shot. There is no reason to hold yourself back. So, first of all, I love that about you because that's something you expanded me on
Hmm.
as like meeting you. Because when I was working at Fortress, I was in accounting and I was in accounting, like seeing that there were expats that lived across the world, like seeing it through our numbers, like expat
Hmm.
relocation packages were line items and like just
Ugh, good
covering
old
their costs
days.
and expenses and their housing and the schooling for the kids. Like I saw it, but it never clicked to me that I could be that expat.
Right.
It's like this limiting, I didn't even see it as like a reality. And like I feel like when we met, I mean, you had just moved over to Credit Suisse
Specifically.
intentionally to do a Singapore stint. So like you knew that advantage point. I really my head was down. I did not even realize that that could be in the cards for me at that time.
So actually, the first company I worked at,
Hmm.
there was like rumors, talks that because I could speak Portuguese, that they would send me to Brazil to live for 2 or 3 years.
Oh
And
yeah, I remember
that's what
this.
kind of, I mean, I had already studied abroad. I had lived abroad for a few months, and like I
Yeah.
knew that I needed to leave the
You
US.
got bit. You was bit.
Or it was just like a self-realization of like, yeah, maybe,
You feel like
I'm
you
bigger than,
belong.
or
Yeah.
my dimensions are a bit bigger, um
Yeah.
not just the clothes.
No,
uh
no, but I know what you mean. You're like, oh wait, I think I can
like, yeah, I
exist
could do
out.
that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
could live in Brazil for 2 years. Like, why not? You know what
yeah.
I mean? But it never happened.
Okay,
So I was like, damn, they passed me up. They ended up hiring somebody local. And I was like, okay, that's cheaper.
right.
But then I was like, but then actually what ended up happening was the person who was going to send me, he jumped ship. And, as part of, when I was looking to leave my company, and they kind of reconnected with this person, and he was telling me like, hey,
Come jump
would you
over
be
here.
interested? We also do these programs. I know Brazil didn't work out, but we also have these programs that
We love a
allow
good
you
poach. We love a good poaching
allow you
moment.
to work in one of the like offices that we have around the world, like London or Switzerland, Swiss company. So Singapore, Hong Kong. And I was like, actually, I really want to work in Singapore. And I didn't know why. I was like, I really want to work in Singapore.
You're like, that sounds like the furthest thing away from this country.
Yeah.
I want to go there.
I think I got like 3 job offers, and not that one wasn't it from that company. I'm like, well, I would have loved Singapore, but I was actually going to work for a German bank, because I still had that mindset of like,
Mm,
I don't think the U.S. jurisdiction is like where I'm at
right,
mentally.
right. Like you knew you wanted to work for an international bank,
Yeah.
regardless.
So
That's
so
awesome.
then when I resigned, I was like, I'm going to,
Yeah.
because they were like, oh, we want to counter you. And I was like, all right. Because I actually liked my time there. And even though I was
Yeah.
kind of passed over for a promotion or whatever, I was like, hey, here's the offer. So everyone knew where I was going,
Yeah.
because,
You
once
laid your
someone
cards
knows,
out.
they tell
Yeah.
somebody else like, oh, Brian's going to that German
Yeah.
bank. And then I ended up ran into somebody that worked at Credit Suisse, and I was like, yeah, they never called me back. So like I kept it moving. I'm good. Like I'll find, I'll survive. And then I got a call back from HR, Credit Suisse the next day.
No
Come
way.
back. And during my like 2 week notice period that I had already quit, that's when I got the offer for Credit Suisse. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this job
Yeah.
because obviously I know people there, but also it has this thing that I know for sure I can get
Yeah.
as long as I do my job well, right? And the other company didn't, so I was like, I ended up picking that, and that's actually how I ended up. So the
I feel like
domino
it'll
effect of like
no.
advocating and like
Yeah.
knowing what you want or knowing that you're bigger than what you're currently doing and just like building those blocks to get to it.
I mean, times were so different than like just the fact that you had 3 job offers just sitting on your lap to choose from as well. Like the way the work climate and hiring climate has changed since we've left. Like it's amazing that you were able to step into that at a time where things were so fruitful and like
Yeah.
the world was literally your oyster. And you knew that. Like again, you totally expanded me on that level of like
Oh,
foresight.
glad I
That's why when I met
had
you,
a
I was like,
positive
"Oh, I want
impact.
like my adult like what would I call it? Like my adult semester abroad.
Yeah, yeah,
Like I
yeah.
wanted an adult semester abroad. One of my biggest regrets from college was to not not one of my. I think it was like my only regret in life was not studying abroad. But now I feel like that regret can dissolve because of the time that we spent in Switzerland.
Yeah, you've done some work on that. In
Like
fact, you're
major
the reason
work.
why we were in Switzerland. Like you told me to ask my boss.
I know
Do you remember that?
because of
Do
course,
you
like
remember
a
that?
full Sagittarius, like I was like, "Wait,
She was so jealous
you
of
travel
me.
for your job?" And then he like put a ring on it and I was like, "Wait, we can travel for your job?" Like, "Wait,
Wait,
we
but I put
can
a ring on it like a week before I left
Wait, no, that shit
you
was so
to go to
rude."
Singapore.
This is what I told
Different
this man.
episode.
No, this is what I told this man. All right. I think it was like after like our 4th or 5th date, you were like, "Listen, I took this job because I want to do a 6-month project in
That's
Singapore."
true. I said that right from the jump.
Yeah. And I was like, that's okay. Like totally there was no part of me that would ever have kept you in the States or like made you contemplate whether that was a good decision or not. I feel like that was on such a soul level something that you needed to complete. Like I knew that that was just like what you were doing and there
In
was
hindsight,
not.
I feel like even the way I said it was like, by the way, this is happening. So if you're not
No,
with it,
I feel like
you can move
no,
over.
you said it way more compassionately than that. I feel like
uh,
I feel like you're like, this is like, I'm taking this seriously. Like, I took this job for this and I want to complete this. Like, are you okay with that? And I
I
was
think the
like,
delivery was nice, but I think the intention was like, I'm
no,
not
I know. It's
not
like,
that
you're
I
not,
don't
not,
take you into consideration, but this was so deeply rooted in my decision to take this job
of
that I was
course.
like, I'm gonna take this, and if this means that our relationship is over because of that, then maybe our relationship wasn't even meant to be.
No,
I was kind of
that's
in that
fair.
mindset that time, whether that was good or bad.
No, I think that's actually really good. I mean, on like a personal level, if the roles were reversed and you said no to me, I'd be like, I'm leaving this guy. Like, what a loser. He's not letting me like seriously like
No,
open my
no,
wings and fly and like do what I'm meant to
no,
do. Like,
you're
are you
saying the same
not
thing as
even
yeah, that's
confident?
what I'm
Yeah, like
saying. Yeah, I'm on that vibe. I
I'm
was on that vibe.
validating that. Like, I don't
Yeah,
feel offended by that by
yeah, yeah.
any
Which I
means.
love
So yeah, exactly. I feel like yeah,
because it really wasn't.
we
It
got
was
each other.
personal for me, not personal
Wait, don't
for.
let me hit you guys. We got each
Me, 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 me,
other.
me.
Yeah. Guys, it's Friday night and we're drinking wine.
And we have
So
no kids tonight.
and we have no kids tonight.
Shout out
So
to
that's why we're
grandparents.
acting
That's reason number
foolish.
two.
That's why we look so smiley. And we had good sleep
And
last night.
that's why rule number or reason number two for the move is what it was. Is exactly this. I mean, you
Long
don't realize
winded.
you need the breaks until you get the breaks, and you're like, wow.
That is so fair. It is so easy to just like run and go, go, go mode, getting things done.
Because we would go months without help in Switzerland, like months.
Yeah.
And when that help came, it was like, I'm gonna sleep for 12 hours
I'm going to
tonight.
sleep for 12 hours. I'm going to lay in the sand because when help would come to Switzerland, we would be going on vacation.
That's fair, yeah.
Okay, so let's parlay this and like get a little bit back on track. But I really like how this episode is opening up to so much work stuff too, because I think it's important for people to know. Like, I truly want you guys to know the potential that you have sitting in your lap if you are working in corporate America or
Yeah.
at any job that has an international baseline and potential for you to be able to make the leap and go somewhere or to apply to a company that has that, like kind of redirect your view for your future jobs as well. But okay, let's get back into yes, we found out about the position. We weren't sure if it was going to work out. It ended up working out during like under our conditions to come back in August. And I feel like that gave us a good chunk of time. It was, yes, obviously we were pregnant, having a baby. There was a shit ton going on. However, it was a nice chunk of time to feel like a slow goodbye in Switzerland.
Hmm.
It was a very, like, bittersweet goodbye. It was, even though, like, you knew, it's like we were mourning the loss while we were still there. Like, every time we went for a walk, which was basically every other day, and we would see the fields and we would see,
The
the
hills and the
sunflowers, the
mountains and the
hills. Yes, exactly. We're like, oh my God, this is going to be a part of our past. Like, this one day we're going to wake up and this is not what we do every day. And it definitely hits deep, but I think I needed that time to just have quality time with the country that I call home. Like, I still call it home. It still
I gotta
feels like
say though,
home.
there were moments where I'm like, I really wish we had moved earlier just to like get it over with because it's like, in a way, it's kind of like a torture. You're like,
Yeah.
every time, like, oh, this might be my last time at this store, or my last time doing this, or I'm at this gelato shop, and you're just like,
No, literally,
just
like
get it
the
over with.
coffee, yeah, the coffee shop, the there was everything is just like then
Yeah.
romanticized. It's like this, yeah, it's like a breakup,
Like it
that's
didn't hurt
happening.
any less when
Yeah,
we left in August than had we left. I think
no, but
I feel like it just sucks. In general, it
honestly,
sucked.
no, it sucked
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. It was tough, like just emotionally leaving and getting away. It was a very different feeling moving there than moving here. Also, we moved to Switzerland. We were, what, 8 months married, 9 months married. At that point, we are basically newlyweds.
Yeah, July.
So
Yeah.
to come back, having
10 months.
life changed so much, like so much. We had 2 kids. We have a dog now. We lost my dad. We lost other people along the way. Like, it was, we were
We
coming
survived the
back. We
pandemic.
survived a pandemic. So much good, so much bad happened. And we were just coming back completely different people and coming back to our home state. And it was like this very strange feeling of coming back to what people kept telling us was home, but it not like feeling like home. It was just, it was strange. But before I'll jump into the reverse culture shock of it, you were talking about how, like, it feels, you don't realize how much you need to stop, like, go going until you do.
Hmm.
Our go going the last, like, all of 2025 was in freaking sane because of this move. I feel like we did the job, like, us two did the job of like 15 people in the, like, in the matter of like 6 months. Like, it was the administrative project planning, um, execution of things to actually move abroad with a family when a company is relocating you was much different than us moving there with like 4 luggages and just me and you.
We had nothing.
So different. Like, we were packing up our home, we were packing up our
Each time we would fly back to the
boys.
States, we would like bring stuff back with us because we are like, wait, we didn't intend to
We
stay
were
here.
we were muling. Yes, exactly. We were like
We had
muling
two
people
suitcases each.
back.
I was like, no, we weren't muling people. We were
Oh,
having
not muling
people
people. We're like having people be our mules to go back and forth with filled suitcases of things. Shout out to
like
the
shampoos and things.
yes. No,
Yeah.
actually, not even shampoos and things. It was more of the stuff that I did not want the movers to move. It was actually like sentimental
Oh, you
stuff.
mean the move back from Switzerland? I was
Yeah.
talking about our original move there where we
Oh
had like
no, I'm
absolutely
talking about
nothing.
on the way back.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted people to take like certain pictures, certain things that,
Yeah, heirloom things,
yeah, because we were sending a container back to the States. One of those huge containers that go on a ship. Like, those things can have water damage. Like, anything can happen to your container on the way back here. All the sentimental
because
stuff.
this container is driven on a truck to a train. The train goes to like northern Germany,
Yeah, I'm like
maybe even
Belgium, maybe.
Belgium.
Yeah,
Goes so it's going across countries on a train, and then that gets loaded onto a ship, and then
yeah,
that ship has to cross the Atlantic for 2 weeks,
yeah,
land in New York or wherever, Port Newark or something, and then it goes on a truck back to your house. Like something's gonna break.
yeah.
I
You
mean, you
feel
gotta
like,
send those sensitive things for sure
no,
back in a suitcase.
absolutely. The project planning of moving, it was this wave. Like, let's forget that we had just had a baby and that I was fully postpartum. We were also planning this move, which entailed purging things that we did not want to bring back with us to the States. Purging as in getting rid of stuff, giving stuff away, but also selling a bunch of stuff. We were
Yeah,
in an apartment that, our couch was really only meant for that living room. So we were selling things left and right. It was just this constant, I feel like our door was like a rotating door of just people buying stuff and coming in or taking
Yeah,
stuff. It
sometimes they
was
would like come, they wouldn't want anymore. It's like, or it didn't fit in their car. Now it's like done.
so there was the purging and the selling. Then there was the preparing of the sensitive things to go into the luggages. Then there was just kind of like having a little bit of a sense check on what it is that was going into the container because you so
Yeah.
easily forget what you pack up, you know? Like when you open up these boxes, you're like, holy crap, I forgot I had this. So all of that preparation took months. It just took months. And being able
Yep.
to align the dates and then having an Airbnb ready and waiting for us when the container took all of our stuff to leave. You know, we had
Yeah,
to,
we had to move out.
yeah, like do the whole process of handing over the key to our um
Landlord.
super land yeah, our landlord.
And also we want a few days just to enjoy like one
Yeah,
one
so we did
last
want to
hurrah.
have we moved out and we knew we wanted to stay in the city proper for the last few days and just have like date nights. Brian's parents had come out a few weeks earlier to
Like
help
in
us
our
with.
original neighborhood kind of thing. Like the first neighborhood we got when we moved to Switzerland.
Yes, exactly. So the Airbnb we stayed in was in our old neighborhood. That was in our first neighborhood.
No, so if you're forgetting the drama already, it's been so long. But you don't remember? Our
Oh
Airbnb
my
canceled.
god.
We
No, I
booked
of
this
course I had it in my
Airbnb.
brain.
We booked
Okay.
this Airbnb like months in advance because we knew that they get so like busy booked in Switzerland,
August,
like around the
obviously.
lake.
Yeah,
So the
it's
original, the very first neighborhood we ever lived in Switzerland, it was the expat neighborhood on the lake.
yeah.
So prime, beach
It's like the
access.
Upper East Side or Upper West Side of
And there's no
Manhattan.
air conditioning in Switzerland in the summer. So and usually summer gets really warm. So it
Europe,
it's good to
gotta
be
love it.
close to the lake to cool yourself off. So we were originally going to be there, and that's when the Airbnb hit us up on the day we were supposed to check in, and they were like, "Oh, like the bed is completely destroyed from the prior guest. We have to switch it. We have a different apartment for you guys, and it's on the complete opposite side of the city." And that's when we were like, "No, cancel it. Give us our money back," and they wouldn't cancel it.
Yeah,
We had to keep going back and forth. It was
they were
crazy. It
being
was so stressful. Oh my
sticklers.
gosh.
They were being sticklers. This is literally the night before, like 10 p.m. at night, the night before the movers were coming
God.
at 7 a.m. the next morning to take all of our stuff onto a container. It was the worst timing. And we were already like at a 10 with stress and just feeling emotional about leaving. Add that to the layer of cake. We were like, what the hell? But I actually am very proud of how we handled that because at first we were kind of freaking out about, okay, obviously, where do we stay? We also had found an Airbnb in our second neighborhood, and which we
That's where we
also
ultimately
loved
stayed. Yeah.
very, yeah, which we ended up loving very much, like that neighborhood in general. Not, but they couldn't check us in for like a night or two. So the first night of us
It
not
was one
having our
night.
furniture or us not having anything in the apartment, the only thing we did have was a broken air mattress, like no sheets. I'm telling you, like all we had bare bones in that apartment was a broken air mattress, a few of our luggages that we were traveling with, and the snoo, which is a bassinet for a baby, for those of you who don't have a baby, because we were selling it and we
Yeah.
wanted to drop it off to the girl the next day. So we ended up staying with the baby in the apartment, and Leandro, our oldest, went with your parents to a hotel that was
Yep.
like 10 minutes away. And
And we
we
had
ended up
Thai
having like
food on
our
the floor.
last night in our apartment, no furniture. Yeah, we had Thai food
Yeah.
on the living room floor. We watched our last sunset. It was actually kind of nice.
It
Like as
was nice.
stressful as it was to get that notification, we somehow, yeah, like we went with the flow. We
Because the
figured it
other
out.
stress was like the part that no one talks about, the part that nobody talks about, that they need to talk about is the legal stuff. So there's a bunch of
Yeah.
legal stuff that we had to do before we left.
Yeah.
And that was stressful. Like the whole deregistration part.
Yeah.
Um, and
You can't just
particularly
leave Switzerland and just like never come back. Like you have to declare that you're leaving and that you're moving out of the country.
and then that impacts the taxes, which is the worst, absolute worst thing about being an expat or living abroad or having dual citizenship. It's like the taxes always screw you over. So then we
They
had to
always find
rebook
you.
our flight
Always find
because
you.
if you get, you have to cash out, your retirement fund from Switzerland. And if it hits your American account when you're in the US, like if you land from your flight, then they're going to tax you double. It's like, so it was so hectic. We had to change our flight. We had to change the Airbnb.
Yeah, you're right. There was
Um,
a lot of detail that we were just like ninjaing through. we're like, oh, you want to stress us out more?
And
We got
so those
this.
last few months, I was eligible to apply for a permanent
That's true. Yeah.
residencyship,
Yeah.
that visa, or what they call a permit. And I took like I just like booked all these German
Oh
language
wait, that's
classes.
so wait. I completely forgot
Yeah, you don't
about
remember
this
that? I
already.
had to get my
No, I
German.
remember it now that you're saying it, but the fact that that was a part of the list of things happening
That was in May.
from the time we had the baby to the time we moved, guys.
And when you do the work back schedule, like if we need to move by August 5th and you work it back, it's like, oh, I'm eligible to apply for this, but I have to pass. The only thing I needed was passing a German exam for a certain level of fluency
And
and
let
in
me,
reading.
yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, if I take that exam, I can take it any day I want, but it takes a month to get my results. And then you figure it'll take a month for the government to like give you the permit.
There was so
I
much
need to take this exam next week.
yeah, there was
It
so
was
much
so
calendar
crazy.
mathing, like,
It was
and
so
all of a
crazy.
sudden you were taking like intensive like courses for a week with like a personal tutor, and all of a sudden,
Which shout out to italki.
yeah. Oh, shout them out because
This is not sponsored. It needs to be.
no, it should be sponsored.
Somebody contact the italki.
That guy was such a good tutor. You did,
Yeah.
first of all, you're like amazing with like just soaking in a language. Like he's like one of those people who like fully learn a language overnight. Like all of a sudden, even like your accent, you're really good at like turning your voice and making an accent and stuff.
I just love feeling connected, and I feel like I went on there and I specifically on this app, I was like, I want a Swiss person because I'm gonna take.
Like, I want the Swiss German accent. Like, let me.
So this man was like in Taiwan, like this with this tutor. I forget his name, but if someone reaches out to you, I will give you his name if you're looking for
Yes, if you happen
high
to be,
German in Switzerland.
yes, if
I
you
got
happen
you.
to be taking any German exams and need
It
a
was
reference
so
point.
crazy, and he literally said, I cannot guarantee that you're going to pass this exam because you've given me 2 weeks to teach you German.
Yeah, he's like, this is probably impossible, but you're like, you don't know who the fuck you're talking to.
He's like, don't leave me any bad ratings if you fail. That's basically what this guy was telling me.
Yeah, the way you pass that exam, I like, you never cease to amaze me. I like can't
Those Swiss
believe
angels,
it.
they were looking out for
They
me.
were looking out for you for
Spoiler,
sure.
I passed the exam.
No, but you did it. Like it,
Ja.
even being, ja, genau, genau.
Richtig.
But you set your mind on something and you freaking did it. Like
I was like,
literally couldn't believe
we need
it.
to come back to Switzerland. There's not an option to not come
The
back.
whole point of getting this permit was to hedge our bet. Like, what if we got to America and we need to turn right the fuck around and go back to Switzerland? Then we have the ability to.
Because what you haven't gotten to, you kind of touched on, but what you haven't gotten to in detail is how different here really is compared to 2018.
Yeah.
And of course, we're so different too. And when you combine those two things, we were already afraid that, like, hey, what if our friends have changed? Like naturally, like, yeah, we keep in touch.
Everyone's
but
changing,
like,
everyone's growing.
Yeah, but we keep in touch, and they come visit, and we catch up when we're here. But like,
the dynamics of the relationships could be different.
It's different when someone is traveling versus when this is now your norm. And
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so we were a bit concerned about that, and just like the emotional attachment we had. And any logical person would think, why would you move to the US, especially in this part of the US where there's so many people, there's so much like danger, if you will, and concern for security, leaving with kids, like leaving from Switzerland. So we always had this kind of 1 foot back thing, and at least, I needed to get that permit. I needed to at least have something in my hand that could help me.
Our ticket.
Just like ease that anxiety of like, okay, if it really doesn't work out, then we can, for sure, we have a way to come back. That they can't. And if there's another pandemic, we can leave the US again. And
I will drop my shit and go right the F now. No, I agree. I think it's what anyone would do. Like if you had the opportunity for it, because we got the letter in the mail, it's like, why not hedge our bets? You just never know how you're gonna feel. And
it's good for a few years.
Yeah, and since we've done a move that's global before, we already know that there is a big difference between the way you feel leading up to the move and then the way you feel when you get to that place. And then also those feelings change after time, like as you're there and settling in. I think it was worth squeezing it in, but outside of the self-imposed extra logistics we had to jump through, there are just so many logistics around, like admin around leaving a country and moving out of a country. Like you really need to check the legal and laws and paperwork that you need to fill out and
taxes
and taxes. Oh my God. Exactly.
And what you also haven't mentioned, which I kind of alluded to earlier, was that even before we got that phone call, like, hey, would you be interested in this job? So in June of 2024, I was like, hey, I want to invest in my family's home country in Porto. And I flew to
Okay.
Portugal in that June to look at like
All right.
apartments. Do you remember that?
Yes. No, no, no. I do remember that. And I love that you're inserting this here because I don't know that I've spoken about our Porto apartment. I keep saying Porto, like Porto
I know it's so funny
apartment.
to say it
It's
in English.
it is kind of funny.
Oporto.
um, but the apartment in Porto, like I don't think I've spoken about this
Really?
on the podcast yet. If I have, I'm sorry, but no, I don't think I have. It's just been on
Oh, well, your
Instagram.
listeners are in for a treat.
I
You're gonna have to put
know.
the link or something.
Okay, so Brian's going to give the backstory on this because he's definitely the one who pioneered this. And, we both love Portugal so much, but obviously he has like, well, not maybe not so obviously. So he has family in Portugal. His roots are tied in Portugal, and he spent a summer abroad in Portugal. Sorry, you spent a semester abroad in
Semester.
Portugal. So you are just like,
I'm in it.
yeah, you're in it.
I'm in it.
You're in it, and
And
he
I believe in
had,
it. And
of
I believe in it.
course, yeah, he had this dream. I feel like you've been saying it probably since we went in 2017, how you wanted to own an
Mm.
apartment in Porto, and then you manifested it. You made it come to life. And guys, it's officially on the Airbnb market. For those
Hey.
of you who would like to stay, it is a phenomenally located Airbnb. It's beautifully decorated by yours truly and Brian over here. We're super intentional about the pieces that we curated. Like, as avid travelers, we know what we love in an Airbnb, and we wanted to make sure that it was exactly what we love about staying at Airbnbs, like having those special touches, just open and light and welcoming. Was
Casa
it?
Oliva. Casa Oliva
Okay, yeah,
is
Casa
what we ended up calling
Oliva is
her.
the name. Yes, that's her name.
And one of the absolute reasons why I love it, and I think it's because we're getting to this point in our lives, Laura and I, where it's like, I want to be close enough to a city that I can have fun and like, do the fun stuff,
Yeah.
but just far enough where it feels like then I can recharge. And I feel that even when we travel, like I'm getting so into like staying at an Airbnb in some random, town, like
Yes.
flying into whatever city.
Yes,
So
like
for
being around a
me,
main area, but a little bit off the beaten road to have
yeah,
like seclusion, really, and like bigger property too, and like
yeah.
enjoy the stay as like a stay.
Yeah, and honestly, sometimes even if it's like a different country and like you're not in the main city, it's like just seeing what that countryside looks like,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
going to a local supermarket is like
Totally different. Yeah,
highly
so cool.
recommend.
Totally agree.
With Casa Oliva, what I love about it is that it's directly in the center of the city, but it's like there's a park that separates
Yeah,
it from the main tourist area.
yeah,
You can't even like hear it, like the bustling of it.
yeah.
The park is beautiful. It's like
It's
I think
gorgeous.
it's the oldest or one of the oldest parks in the city. I think
Okay.
it's the oldest park.
Yeah.
And it just allows you to be in the cut and you can do all the fun stuff, but then like you feel like you're a local and like in a nice quiet tree filled like tree lined street, and you can just relax after a long day of just like
I
touristing or
totally
drinking
agree.
wine and things like that. So yeah, so in June of 2024, I went to go see these apartments. We found like a realtor, through online and stuff like that. And I didn't find one that I necessarily liked or that was within budget. There was one that we were like about to just like put it all on, and we kind of like second guessed it, and then somebody bought it. And I was really upset. I was honestly one of the very few regrets I have in life. But then in September, I went back to Portugal. My dad was going to be there. There was like my cousin was getting married. So I spent a couple nights in Porto and I saw apartments and I saw this new construction and I was like, oh, this one's almost done,
Yeah.
getting close to, it was like a year end construction date. This is September. I'm like, okay, it looks about on track because in Portugal,
Things
things
are a
can take
little
time.
lazy. Yeah, they take a lot of
It's a
time,
Southern Europe thing, this Mediterranean vibe. It's like so slow, but it was
but
so
also
close,
fine. Yeah.
to being done that I'm like, for sure it's going to be done by the year end. So we actually ended up, putting a down payment on it in September.
Yeah.
And the goal was, hey, we're going to pilot this apartment because if it works, because Porto's growing so much since I was a kid that I'm like, I really want to get into it. But since the laws are always changing, because
Yeah.
laws always change
Airbnb
there.
legalities and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
with the housing crisis and whatever, it's like, let's just buy one. It was going to be a pilot and we were going to buy several. The
Mm.
goal was to buy like two or three and have this as like a side business that could maybe one day become,
I
our
mean, we were starting
primary.
our like our rental income portfolio and have
Yeah.
that build, right? It's like a business in itself. We just have our Laura and Brian. and properties.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, let's get on track here. So you checked out the place in September. We put down the deposit
In September.
in September. We thought it was going to be done in December 2024. It was not done until April, and then it takes like 2 months of paperwork. So we weren't able to step foot and get the keys to this apartment until June 2025. It was so long, but I feel like at that point, because I was pregnant, because there was so much going on, it was like, okay, whatever, this thing is taking forever. It just better be done before we freaking leave
Yeah, we needed to have
Switzerland.
the we needed to go to the closing like
Yeah.
before, and it was so stressful because we ended up closing in June, like June 20th,
Yeah.
right? And if you remember, I had to like, so as part of the mortgage, I had to create a bank account, and I tried to create one digitally online, and literally the last step was denied, and I had to go in person.
Yeah. So you had to fly
So I had to
in,
fly to Portugal by myself.
do some of the logistical
I sat in
stuff.
that bank for 4 hours just for them to open my account. And then they're like, oh, your wife has to come too, right?
Guys, if you're looking to do
So
things in another country, buffer in like a year of time. Also, the fact that we are so desensitized to how things work so quickly in the States, right? Like
and Switzerland, honestly,
we just have
system's pretty quick.
so much, I don't know what you call it, like consumer satisfaction, like that instant dopamine hit that you can get something tomorrow or in an hour or right now. Like literally you can do anything from your home here. Europe is not like that, like
Yeah,
at all. Like you do have to put in the footwork. You got to go to the bank. You got to sit there for the day. You also have to leave room for the fact that people are probably going to be a little bit more reluctant to like work late on Friday. So if you have something going on a Friday that's supposed to get done, like it might not get done until Monday or
yeah.
Tuesday
And if
because
it's a
they love
holiday,
their
forget it.
Fridays in the summer. Like everything's just, it takes a lot of time. And we were hoping that the Airbnb would have opened earlier that year to get into the season of that summer. But
Yeah,
it's okay. Like, really, at the end of the day, what we've learned with this Airbnb is that you do need to buffer in time. Like, whenever it comes to a new investment, you, especially since this was our first, there's so much uncertainty in what's clear, what's not clear, leaving time for mistakes to happen, for things to take longer. And now that it's officially on the market, it went up in March, and we've had
2026.
March 2026. So we've had
So a year later
this.
than we expected.
Yes, a year later than we expected, but you know what? Like
It's to do all the
rolling with the
legality.
punches here. Maybe sometimes things don't work out in a certain way for our better good, and we can't see that as like,
Yeah,
you know, the reality when we're seeing it as like, oh man, I wish this was happening, but I wish this wasn't happening, but it really is like a redirection. And to just like embrace
it's
it that
true.
way.
Because even like trying to find a right property manager, and I was gonna go with like one of those companies that's like pretty well known. So then you had to come, and it was fine because you had to physically come to the bank. So I was like, okay, so you're physically gonna come to the closing
Yeah.
because originally you were gonna do a power of attorney,
Yeah.
and
No, I rolled up into that board meeting.
so when I had to accidentally go in person to open the bank account myself,
Yeah.
I told the realtor, hey, I want to see the apartment while I'm here. I'm closing next week. I want to
Right.
make sure it's like done. And
Yeah.
so then he had the agent, the selling agent. He came too. He opened the apartment for us,
Okay.
and I was telling him, yeah, I'm probably gonna rent this out in the year, because I think I'm hoping to eventually become an Airbnb. And he was like, hey, listen, one of the apartments upstairs, we sold it to somebody. She's using a local property manager.
Oh, that's
Like,
right. It just so happened that you came across a management company.
yeah, he was like, you should ask. I can ask the client who she's using, and then they
Get
can
the
tell you.
name.
So I was
Yeah.
like, all right. So he sent me the contact, and I texted that property manager because I'm like, shit, we're closing next week. I don't have anyone to look after this apartment. We have to still furnish it and like get things delivered. I really need to get this done this week. And I texted her, and she was like, I'm free today. We can meet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. So we met at a cafe, and then we talked for like 2 hours. She showed me a couple of the apartments that they host for Airbnbs. She showed me the profile, amazing reviews.
They have amazing reviews. They manage like almost 50 properties in that same exact neighborhood. So that's like their niche.
Yeah.
And it's a
And they
couple who
live in that
owns
neighborhood
they
too.
live in that
Yeah.
neighborhood. It's a couple who owns the company, and they manage the whole thing. I mean, they have like cleaning services and other people that they hire to like resource out like how to turn over the apartments for after each stay. But they're the ones that are going to be helping you with anything that you need locally. And they're just so warm. They were both just very
It's a married
nice.
couple. Yeah.
Yeah, just so sweet. And we wanted that for the Airbnb. We didn't want it to feel like this franchise. Like it's nice to obviously have like a check-in where you don't have to have an in-person check-in, but I also didn't want people texting an abyss if they needed like the air conditioner fixed, or if they had something wrong, right? Like I want our guests to be able to have a person behind the messaging that's going to message you back right away.
Yeah.
Like, and she's so like that. Even here, like I'll text her at 9 p.m. here and she's like responding. I'm like, girl, it's the middle of the night there. You don't have to answer me.
They respond so fast.
They
It's like
work hard and
crazy.
they're the sweetest. So like
And we're one of like 45 properties that they hand manage, like you said. And it's like the fact that we get responses so fast.
yeah,
And now we're able to see, like, even on the platform, we can still see like how it's going. And I see how fast they're messaging the people staying at our place. And I'm like,
it's
I don't
just
think they
quality
sleep.
service. No,
I
but it's
really don't think they
quality
sleep.
service. And that's what
Yeah.
was so important for us. I find it, again, obviously, this podcast episode is really a catch up of what's been going on since the last one when you were on.
Yeah.
But any takeaways you guys can take from my episodes, right? Whether it's about, potential property investment, or just thinking about career differently, or just knowing more about Switzerland, or what's it like to have these reverse culture shocks and culture shocks, like take it all with you as information for your back pocket, because I feel like having gone through it, like all I want to do is like pass down the wisdom too, because
Yeah.
there's just been so much
A
that's
lot of data
happened.
goes behind it too. Like even with the apartment, it's like, is Porto a city worth investing in? Like,
Of
of
course.
course, I don't want to like culturally appropriate my own people, but like I also want to invest in the city.
Of
I don't
course.
want to lose my money
No, I get
necessarily.
it.
So
And it
balancing that out. But yeah, it's data driven. Looking at data, looking to see like the laws. Like I said, law. No one ever talks about the law side of things, the taxes. Like, and then Laura, when she came to do the closing and the bank account, which also took another 4 hours in the bank. Actually, we had shopped online in Switzerland in advance for a lot of things to have it delivered while we were there, which ended up being a fail because it ended up being a holiday.
actually,
It was
also
so
some of the
crazy.
pieces that are in the apartment, because we knew we were moving at this point, right? We had actually brought from our Swiss apartment. Like the light fixture in the living room is from
Yep.
our Swiss apartment, and we had that for like 4 years before that.
Yeah.
There's just some pieces that mean a lot to us, literally from our own home, that we put in there, that we knew, okay, we don't want to take this to the States, but we don't want to get rid of it either. Let's place it somewhere
Do you
special.
remember we were gonna send a container to Portugal with some stuff?
Oh my gosh,
We were gonna like almost
yes.
furnish it exclusively with things from our apartment in
Yeah, we
Switzerland.
weren't even that's at one point we were like, we don't need to sell our furniture. We can just send it to the Airbnb.
And I had it all organized. I found a Portuguese like shipping
I
company. And
remember
on the
this.
day before they were supposed to come to our house to give us a quote, they were like, wait, this isn't your permanent resident in Portugal? And I'm like, no, this is not gonna be my permanent residence. They're like, oh, then you have to fill an immigration form. And then we were gonna have to pay tax, like
Like
25%
20%, right?
tax.
20% tax.
It was gonna be like 10,000 euros to send this up. And we were like, it's cheaper to
We're like,
furnish
you
the
know
apartment from
what?
scratch.
We'll just buy
So
everything
adding on
there.
top of the German studying
Yeah.
and the baby, the newborn, and getting the project plan for the
Furnishing this
US move,
home,
we had to now furnish the apartment.
furnish that
It was so
apartment.
crazy, but it all ended up working out. You were able to meet that property. That was my point. You were able to meet the property management
Yeah, they were great.
couple, and you were like, perfect. This is exactly what I wanted for the apartment. So things like were for that part of the that swim lane of the project plan that didn't work out the way we had originally planned, even with the buffer time we had allocated.
Yeah.
But then things like that happen where you find the best perfectly situated. Like I don't know what we would do without Elizabeth and Eduardo. I don't know
I
what we would do
have
without
no
them.
idea. Like
They've been
they've
amazing.
been phenomenal, because they help us obviously outside of, or not, maybe not so obviously, they help us with stuff outside of the apartment that has nothing to do with the actual like revenue of the apartment. They were helping us with our
Yeah,
couch and
coordinating with
everything.
handymen to put up things on our
Yeah,
walls that we
coordinating with
ordered,
handymen,
getting it
and
cleaned,
they're
doing photo shoots.
the
Like,
corporate
yep.
franchise management companies would have never done this. It feels like I have like a family member out there who's just helping me out.
Yeah, that's
Really
Auntie.
overselling this,
That's
but
Titi
they're
Elizabeth.
just so great, and anyone who stays there will have an amazing experience
Yep.
because you're in their hands. Yeah, we had to do all of that. The fact that like I looked back at this year and I'm like, the amount that we got done, like on 2025, the amount that we got done, like I don't know how we did it. I was so like, there was so much positive going on. It was such good stuff. We had a new baby. We were opening up our Airbnb. We were moving abroad. It's like, bittersweet as that was, it was still exciting to see what this new chapter was going to be like. So much going on, and we somehow did it all. Like legit.
Shout out to us.
Oof, boo.
And the help. I mean, we couldn't have done it without
No,
a lot
obviously
of
the
people
support. Yes,
because we were even
absolutely.
looking for renting a house in the States while we were still in Switzerland.
Yes.
So reaching out, to realtor, and it's like
Yeah, your cousin.
doing like
It's
virtual apartment housing tours. Like it
yeah.
was so much that we were using as many people as possible that we couldn't be more thankful for
No, we leaned on,
leaning
I mean,
into
talk
it.
about community, and this is going to be a big circle back to the beginning of having two kids and wanting to start a brand while they're this small and not having like the direct village around us of friends and family, because you have a community as an expat that's so unique and so special. But I felt like because Zurich was limiting with the potential for me to start and grow my business, and then knowing that I'm going to have to put in hours to like really, hustle and do what I need to do to take this off the ground, but need the help of people like full time. Like I can't pay like a full time nanny and
Yep.
not be making money yet. Like there's like
The
sacrifices we
math's
have
not
to make.
mathing.
The math wasn't mathing. And we just knew we needed our people. And like you said before, the kids are little. It's not like they're like in full school yet. It's like daycare. And there's this buffer time of like being able to use that space while they're young to build something with the village around us. And that's what
Yeah.
is more important, I think, to us right at this very stage over being in a country that we personally feel like feels more like home to us than maybe the States does right now,
Right, right.
you know?
And we still have
Um,
so many good friends there, and that we talk to pretty much every day.
yeah. I mean, it's like we built a whole life in Switzerland. We had a full community. Like, we had a full community. We had our regimens, our what we're used to waking up to every day, where we're used to going shopping every day, where we're used to having our kid go to school, where you're used to going to work, where I'm used to going to work out and do my everything. It was home. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
home,
for sure.
So having all of that to do before leaving that was definitely a tour and a half.
And the
But
fun was just getting started because as
it
soon
was
as we
just getting
landed, we
started,
had to find a
yes.
house.
Yes, and I think so for this episode, I think it's great this like leading up to it. We can talk a little bit because we are running out of time. We can talk a little bit about I guess just initial feelings once we got to the States, and then we can have a part 3 where we can go a little bit deeper into maybe some of the decision makings of
Part three.
how we settled in.
You must really like having me.
I just feel like there's so much to talk about when it
You
comes
must like having me on
to
your
this chapter
show.
of our life. No, of
It's a
course, I
huge
love having you
chapter.
on the show. I like, yes, yes. Moving back to the States, August 6th, 2025. Let's just be raw. What were your feelings and thoughts?
uh, Definitely wondering is this the right decision? I
100%.
think that's the hardest thing. I think that's what changes with kids. That you're like, now that it's not just like when you're making decisions for yourself, it impacts you. It's like, okay. Then when it's with someone else, like a significant other, you're like, okay, now I have to think about somebody else's, emotions,
Well,
right?
oh
Or
yeah,
needs.
well-being, yeah.
And then you add like kids and you're like, wait a second. It's not even about just their needs, but also it's like this is they don't necessarily understand yet. And of course our kids were way smaller than, you know, they were like 2 years old and 6 months.
Not even like 4 months he was.
But it's like actually this in a way they don't necessarily know what's going on, but in another way you're like this actually could impact the rest of their lives even if they don't know that.
Yeah, it
It
just
could like
feels like a
butterfly effect
really
into the rest of their future. They have their
it's
whole future ahead of them.
it's a high risk decision, like on all accounts, and we're making that decision not just for ourselves.
And even moving back home, it's still a big risk because you're like there's an entire like when you think about education, there's like an entire road on this path, like for Swiss education and lifestyle
Yeah, that's true.
university, like, and then you have the whole US system. And you're just like, wow, this literally could, even the daycares are different. Like they're
Completely
teaching
different.
different things and like at different paces. And you're like, could this impact their mental development? Could it impact like how will that have a domino or butterfly effect
Yeah, or
on?
just yeah, like will his personality change
It's
based
so
now on like
stressful.
who and what type of culture and people he's exposed to? I do think having lived in, Hoboken, Jersey City before we left, coming back, we immediately knew that our priority of a quality of life, like a certain quality of life, was going to be our like goal to keep as much as we could. Meaning, we want to live in a place that feels less chaotic than being in Jersey City. Like, we want people to be calmer, we want to be closer to
Yeah.
nature, we want to be near the green. I
We want the
think
trails. We
we
want
want the
like the hiking.
trails, we want to, like, we love 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 going on really long trail walks with our dog, with our kids. Like, that was something that was just a regular for us. There was just so much that we wanted to bring back with us, so we didn't feel so much of the shock. And I feel like the way we approached looking at towns to live in was already, helping that ability to adjust to, it's a new quality of life, but like, we're still trying to keep the same priorities intact here to like keep us regulated and keep us, I don't know, as happy as we could be with still mourning the loss of not living there. I don't know. And I feel like that somehow like helps the kids too. Maybe not so much Alessio, he's so little, but at least Leandro.
Yeah, and honestly, with with my parents spending the month with us before we left Switzerland, and then spending that month and stuff, my parents' house, month and a half. Even home to them was different. And as soon as we
Yes,
moved into this home, and it
yes.
was just us, and it was just like us as in like us four, like the kids and us, and it's like, oh, Leo, here's your room, and like Alessio, this is your room. It was almost like our son was completely different. It was almost like he was like, okay, he needed this, like, I need my home.
He
It was so
showed
crazy.
Yes, he showed me and proved to me that there is a very big through line between the nervous system of your child and how they act, and directly connected to what they feel used to as like a stable normal regimen, like the structure in their lives, like the dynamics being a certain way, because it's so true.
And probably our
How
nervous
and
system,
same, yeah,
like,
exactly. Like, we're
radiating
all
onto
so
them.
very, and also like we're all used to just being around each other only, right? And we're kind of living out of suitcases for months, where he's not in school, he doesn't have a schedule, he wasn't going to daycare. It was so wild. You were on paternity leave, we're looking for houses, we're none of
Yeah.
us are working out. We were all stretched to our max. I think Leon
Even the
to
babies.
us, it was a lot. But it's a lot of big decisions that we put a lot of thought into, and we really are intentional with how and where we live, that we didn't want to just settle for anything to be convenient for timing. We wanted it to be intentional, and that
Yeah.
we knew, okay, however long this chapter is here in New Jersey, we want to be comfortable, we want to be happy, and we want to look at it as like, yes, this is just a short chapter, but I also don't want to just treat it like that and not nestle into a home and make it feel like a home, because A, I love making my home feel like a home, and B, I know my kids love feeling like it's like a home, and I know you do too. Like, I think it's important at this age to not look over the fact that your living space brings you so much peace, and a feeling of safety, and a feeling of just like nesting. Just, I don't know. So, there's something very warm about being intentional about your home, even if it's a small space, even if it's a small apartment, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
it's just making that little oasis for self. It's so regulating.
So I think we were kind of like looking for that when we were landing. Like, okay, we'll take a couple of days, we'll relax and like just recharge, because it's been so stressful the last few months.
Yeah.
But the reality was, like, there was still so much to do on the to-do list. So we knew it was just buying us time.
So much.
It was crazy. Um, but yeah, ended up, I mean, sorry, you asked what that first kind of landing was like. And it was just like, all right, let's just, like I said, take that breather and let's, get back on the saddle. Let's try and find a place.
Yeah.
And of course my family is super generous, and it's not like they put a time limit on anything, but like you just said, like, you want to find your sanctuary. You want to, like,
Yeah.
let's just get things started. Let's start building that foundation. And we didn't know exactly where we wanted to live. We had like a radius, like certain hot spots that we
Yeah,
liked.
we drove up and down the state of New Jersey. Let me tell you, I discovered towns that I did not know
Well,
existed.
once I saw how cheap this gas was, I know you all complaining, but this is nothing compared to Europe.
I
Um,
mean,
but yeah, the
it
finding a
was
town was like,
it was wild trying to find an area. But you know what? That's kind of what made it fun. And maybe we'll end it on this note here. But coming back to the same state and like coming back to a place that could just feel so easy to slip into the old way of life and how it was before we left, we made it super intentional that it would feel like a new chapter. Like we wanted to live in a part of New Jersey we both never spent time in.
Never been
We
here
wanted
before.
it to be in a part of New Jersey, like I explained before, that was just a little bit more green, a little bit more out there, obviously still near a train line because he has to go into the city twice a week, but kind of not caring how long the commute is because you do only go in twice a week. But we were prioritizing, like, well, how's home going to make you feel?
Yeah.
Because that's what's more important to us right now. Just having this feel in some way exciting to come back to, because there were obviously elements of it that are so exciting. There's obviously other elements that are not exciting because of the way the world is. Have you looked outside? Have you checked the news? America is not looking great for people to live in. And wait, what?
No, I agree.
Oh, okay, you agree.
But I was saying
Like this.
what when you were
No, 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 wait, I want to finish my
okay,
thought.
of
Um,
course.
so I feel like from a psyche level, like we had to amp ourselves up to be like, okay, like we're excited. This is a new chapter. We're gonna make, we're gonna reconnect with old friends, but we're also gonna make new friends. This is a new, the way you would feel about moving to another country and feeling like it's a new season of life. You're entering into your next era. We had to amp ourselves up for that. And I'm proud of us for doing that because I think it would have been easy to go back to the ways that were very normal to us before, even though we're so different now. I don't think we'd be happy in those old ways anymore. Like, I think that was a different season. But just having our eyes on the prize to prioritize our joy, even going through all the anxieties, the depressions, the feelings of loss and mourning and grief of leaving, there's still at the end of the tunnel us saying, but we're not going to settle for less. Like, we need to make ourselves as happy as we can be on this process and in this journey.
Yeah, and that was important for me because especially moving to a new part because of the state because I was really struggling with even like the illustrativeness of coming back. It felt like I don't go back. I move forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm used
Yeah.
to, oh, I
Sagittarius
want this.
moon.
Yeah. Like, oh no, I'm sorry, I've done that. I want
It
something new. I
feels
want
that
bigger. I want
way.
better. I
Yeah.
want like new experience. And it's like, wait, to go back there. And I was really struggling with this. Like, I feel like I'm going backwards and I'm a go forwards person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even when I'm on the train, I gotta face the direction the train's going. It's like a weird thing for me. So
It's
mentally, I
particular.
was really struggling with that, and like
Yeah.
just the thought of having to go back. So having now living in a newer part of a place I was originally from is actually helping. It was strategically selected that way, but it also is helping actually in execution. Us just dealing with making this a different experience, even though we had lived in the state for 20 whatever years before we left.
No, I agree. I think I agree with you. I think it helps ease the pain a little bit that we know how to anchor into what ultimately brings us a little bit of peace, and that is our surroundings and our home.
Yep.
But we can still leave whenever you want.
Yeah.
We romanticize leaving all the time, but also
Maybe it was a year and a half since we recorded together last. Maybe in the next year and a half,
maybe when this airs, he's gonna have
I'll
an
be
opportunity
we'll
to
be in
go.
like Japan.
I will say, okay, now this will be like the final thing. The one thing about Switzerland I miss so much is the proximity to the type of travel there. I don't want to go into like a full topic about
Mm.
this, but I want to say this in the sense of like the countries that were so close in proximity for us to just take like a road trip and just go somewhere in like a 4 or 5 hour time frame was so exciting. I was also even like desensitized to it. Like, yeah, oh yeah, we're just going to Milan or we're just going to Italy for the weekend or we're going to France. And, in the expat community, when you're living there, it's so normal, just European community, right? Like the countries are like neighboring to each other. But coming back here, not only do I miss that type of travel and like how close we were, just the essence of now starting a brand and going through the process of making the sacrifices to essentially let go of traveling for a little bit. I feel like I'm finding joy talking about traveling
Hmm.
through my work because it's keeping me close to that like lifeline in my life, like that passion in my life. So I get to like keep reliving what we've done recently in the last, you know, we've been together for 10 years, but my last 15 years of traveling, I don't know, it somehow like is like soothing the wound a little bit because I miss it. I miss the travel aspect. And but also just the element we could be traveling here as well. I don't want to take away from the States, guys. I know the States has gorgeous
Yeah, but
places to
it just hits
see.
different. You're like, oh, I'm gonna drive to Pennsylvania this weekend versus like, oh, I'm gonna go to
It's also
any
just
town in
so much more
France.
expensive to even like fly to like any of the parks out west. Like it's like, you know, $500-$600 to get on a flight to go out west and see something gorgeous in the States when from Zurich to Milan it's like a $50 train ride. Like it's just it's the it doesn't nothing the math is not
Yeah, yeah.
mathing here.
It's apples and oranges.
But I don't want to take away from like how much I do want to explore and see in the States and what we could be doing
Yep.
traveling here as well. It's really the emphasis on the sacrifice for the brand for a little bit because financial sacrifices come with starting a business and the first thing that's going to get cut are some of our
Fun
and the
budget.
extra
The fun
the
budget.
fun budget is
It's like
low
those corporate holiday parties.
low and I don't like it. I'm not used to it. I'm not used to not being able to just exercise that muscle of mine, which is the travel muscle. Like I miss it. I just miss it, you know, down to my core.
It'll be back.
It'll be back. It'll be back for sure. But I get to live through it vicariously through you guys who I hope take advantage of all my material and go and have your own special and deep and awesome travel experiences. And,
You
you know,
better get
one
those
day,
pocket guides.
I
I've
know.
seen them. They're good.
Guys, we have things working here. Like
I can
we're
vouch for them.
yes.
And the
Well,
content.
thank you for well, first of all for being here, but thank you more so
Of
for
course.
taking a chance on me
You're my partner, right? Not
and
just in crime, but in business.
flying all the way to the States
My chief
and
marketing officer for Airbnb.
yes, we have
My chief operating officer as well.
yes, absolutely.
So
You're my
we're
chief
partners in crime and out of crime.
he's my chief witty officer. He's so good with words. I'm just like, what should I use for this word in between these two words? And you're just like, bam, like you have some funny
That's
word.
it.
I love it.
The closer. Bring me in.
I
Get it
know.
done.
Well, you're the best, baby.
Well, shout out to us.
When you get
Teamwork this last year and a half.
teamwork is real.
Yep. And
So
I know my
real.
family has seen us in some dark times. I don't think they knew that side of me.
Everybody's seen us in some dark
When they came in that
times.
last week for Switzerland, they
We're
had
just getting our footing here, people. Come on.
they showed up a month before we left, and they were like, they must have been shocked at the villains,
I feel like
the
we
survival
went through a
mode.
breakup together, and it wasn't against each other. The breakup
Yeah, and
of
it was like low key
Switzerland.
televised in our home. It was like
No,
crazy. So
no, it was
that was
bad.
a crazy, yeah, what a crazy last year. But
I miss our ex girlfriend Switzerland, but like maybe she just like stays on the side until we get back.
she's definitely waiting for us.
She's
She a good girl.
who knows? Who
She a
knows?
good
We
girl.
talk shit. We talk shit. All right. I need another glass
No,
of
thanks
wine.
for having me. Thanks for listening. More importantly, and I'll catch you on the next episode. There's gonna be one.
Ciao, ciao.